What's up, everybody? Live from NYC is Court and Amy. I'ma let you finish. Show number.
It's Halloween. We're taping on Halloween.
It's Halloween. It's show number 162. We're on the Pantheon Podcast Network. We're here. We're doing the thing. You know, we tape the show in the morning. So sometimes we got it together, and other mornings we're like, look.
I have it together. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I do have it together.
Yeah.
Do you do anything for Halloween or no?
I am not, you know what? I've never been a big adult dressing up for Halloween person. I did the trick-or-treating as a kid, but what I do every year is go to my friend's stoop, Brownstone, and we give out candy to the kids.
Oh, I give out candy.
Yeah, so
I went and bought more candy than humanly possible, but we do get a ton of kids in this neighborhood.
I was about to say, your neighborhood is filled with kids, so it's a lot. I used to buy candy every year and sit here, and there was only
like a loser.
There were only 2 people with kids in this building, and they didn't bring the trick-or-treating in the building. So I would sit here with a barrel of candy that no one would come
I'm making up little bags for the kids in my building, and because that's cute. And then I'll sit outside. I roped the oldest kid the kid who's the oldest in the building right now. She's like 12. I've roped her into helping me.
Yeah, so I go to my friend Sydney.
She can help me,
and we give out candy to kids.
And I'm just making sure that the Reese's peanut butter cups, that there's enough to get me through the week.
Right, exactly.
It's just, because they don't need that peanut allergies.
And the best day is tomorrow when everything's on sale. Then you get all
starts
the candy.
Going on sale.
It's the bag that was 10 is now like 2 for $6, 2 for $3.
No, I know. It's perfect. It's perfect. All right. There are certain stories that are both utterly fascinating, utterly titillating, and then sort of really depressing at the same time. So if in case you've been under a rock, or not looking at our Facebook feed, you bastards, here's what's going on. The iconic and legend overused, iconic and legend is completely applicable to Buffy St. Marie. For many of us of a certain age, she is the woman who taught us what it is to be Native American First Nation. She was on Sesame Street. She is the first acknowledged Indigenous Native American person to win an Oscar for Up Where You Belong, which I didn't even know she wrote until like 3 weeks ago. So fantastic singer, activist. She's Canadian. Well, this is where it just gets crazy. All right. So there was a PBS, one of those PBS specials about
What's it called?
Like a year ago?
It's like, no, it wasn't a year ago. It actually just aired.
No. There's 2. There's a precursor to this. There was a PBS special, which is in turn is what spurred this investigation.
Yes, but what I'm trying to tell you is not called PBS. It aired. I literally was just watching it before we came on the air in the middle of it. It's like whatever there. Let me tell you what is correct.
No, we're talking about 2 different things.
Yeah, the Canadian Public Broadcast Service.
I know.
But the thing that is kicking off this controversy is this. Yeah. He started an investigation over a year ago about, there's a show they have, it's called like Faketarians or something. And it's about exposing...
No, we're talking about 2 different shows, but keep going. We're talking about 2. She had a PBS Masters special.
Yes, but that wasn't I watched that, her American Masters. Right. That was a documentary on her. That did not call into question anything about. And I thought, listen, that's where I learned the most. Remember, I talked to you and I said, I watched this, and I was like, wow, she's really fascinating. I knew her name, but I didn't know anything about it. The one that just aired in Canada now that's on the Canadian Public Broadcast System is called The Fifth Estate. And what they're saying is this show it started an investigation with doing genealogy over a year ago on her because evidently this reporter for the Public Broadcasting System got a tip.
The CBC, it's called the CBC.
Yeah, that he got a tip saying that she might not be exactly, the lineage isn't lining up. So they do this whole investigation. And then I'm talking to you and I'm thinking it's some bullshit, right? Then you come, Amy, being like, oh my God, the Buffy St. Marie thing, and da-da-da-da-da. And now I'm obsessed. I have been digging in and I'm like, this is a little messy. I think you should explain, because you'll probably explain it better than me.
All right, so the allegation is Buffy St. Marie has long said that she's adopted. This is not uncommon because many, and if you watch Reservation Dogs, this was beautifully portrayed. Many First Nation children were scooped up. It was called the 60s scoop. Were scooped up by Canadian authorities and placed in homes of white families. So this is not, we don't even have time to get into the atrocities visited upon First Nation and Native American kids. All right. Buffy St. Marie has always claimed that she knows she's adopted. She has claimed she was adopted by a white family, but that she is claimed to be Micmac, but she's also been adopted by another tribe in Canada. So she's claimed to be Micmac, and it gets really confusing, and you can read about it because it's a lot. And in order, you just can't say I'm an American Indian. I mean, everybody and their mother is like, oh, I'm Native. It's like, nah, not.
Do you
really.
remember all of that? It's like there was a time when it was like, well, I'm in what tribe? Because first of all, nobody Native Indigenous ever calls themselves in. They don't say I'm Indian. They say what tribe you're from.
The tribe they are, right? Yeah. Anyway, so so there was a special, like a masterpiece thing, and then somebody had received a letter from. It was a tip there, and they're not saying, the reporter for the CBC has not said, really disclosed it, saying you might want to look into this. Buffy may not actually be First Nation, and that her name is actually Beverly Ann Santa Maria, and that she is born to an Italian, first generation Italian family in Massachusetts, and they found her birth certificate. They've also found her marriage certificate, which shows that she was born, and I'm using big quotation marks, in the United States. So this is not just like somebody, like you find out that somebody's biracial and they didn't know it. The ramifications of this goes beyond, because Buffy St. Marie is literally the highest profile, most revered symbol of First Nation, Native American activism, music, I mean, everything. So this is not just like, oh, really? She's really black, Jennifer Beal? Who knew? So there's a lot of controversy.
It's a gag, this thing.
No, it's a lot. And it's really got very serious ramifications. Like I said, because a lot of people, there's this thing called fake Indians or pretend Indians or something like that, where people pretend, because you do have to have lineage, and you do have to be like sort of, I'm using the wrong word, approved by the tribe. But here's where to get crazy. All right. According to what I've read, it is a lot of Native kids were given new birth certificates when they were adopted. This is before computers, right? This is a handwritten. So a lot of Native kids were given new birth certificates once they were adopted, and their ethnicity was changed to white. That the parents changed, that their name was Santa Maria and they changed it to Saint Marie. That's no big surprise. I mean, there were a lot of racism or prejudice against Italians, and they lived in a part of Massachusetts which borders the Canadian border, and there's a lot of Quebecois up there. That's not surprising.
But here's where it gets complicated, because
you mean more complicated?
Because Buffy's always, one, she was actually, things that have come out in this investigation, she was actually born before the whole Canadian scoop happened, years before that was a thing. And they have family members who are saying she's not adopted. The only person who's ever said that Buffy is adopted is Buffy. From people in her family, they're like, none of us know this adoption. She's the only one who's ever said she's adopted, which makes it really strange.
But then there's another aspect of it now, where a brother of hers, who is now deceased, she had accused him of sexual abuse, and and so now people are saying that he said this about her because he had written, I think it was him or an uncle in 1964, had written a letter to the editor saying, it must have been 1974 because she wasn't a star in 1964. Written a letter to the editor going, she's not Native American. What are you talking about? So now people are saying, well, this brother said that she was sexually abused, so this is his she said she was sexually abused, so this is his retaliation, except that the timeline for that doesn't line up.
That's the thing. People just don't want to believe something, right? Because you don't want to believe somebody who is seen as a hero could absolutely 1000% pull off a scam like this. It wouldn't be the first time, but they went through all the genealogy and they're tracing all of this back and they're not finding any indigenous.
Well, the only way to find it is actual DNA, obviously. I mean, but on the other side, the First Nation tribes have all said, we don't care. She's one of us. Like, she's one of us. We don't actually at this point even care. Like,
yeah, they said she chose us. We chose her.
Chose her, And there's also the thing of why now? The woman is 82 years old. She has retired from performing. It's without DNA evidence, there's going to be absolutely no way to prove it, because it's very plausible that they gave her a new birth certificate. I mean, that's not unheard of. The parents might have said, put her down as white. So
but when a bunch of people in your family are all saying, this person's not adopted, she's my sister. Like, you say that, but it's like, we don't know if people have strained relationships or whatever, but your siblings, I just find it weird that it was said back then. People in our family are saying it now. And listen, stranger shit has happened.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate because it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate if it's true, because I would hate to see an asterisk next to her name when she passes.
Well, now listen, she's going to be honored for being a legend, but that asterisk will absolutely be that. Yeah. Now it's there.
The story seemed to have died down, though. It was like big this weekend, and now there's nothing else. Because what can they do in case they can find absolute concrete, and without DNA evidence, how do you find something like that?
And honestly, the people who really know who she is, they're all old. Everybody's like, oh my goodness. And I think a lot of you have people who have in Canada, I absolutely feel like it's a bigger story.
Oh, it is.
It's a bigger story. And what I've been seeing online is camps, right? You're having the people who are seeming absolutely crushed, being like, oh my God, all of this was built on a foundation of lies. And then I'm seeing the other side being like, Buffy's done nothing but amazing work. We stand with her no matter what's happening.
Yeah, this is not a Rachel Dolezal thing. This is not something
except
like
when
that.
People try to dog her, but she was doing a lot of good work too. She was the president of NAACP. She was doing people tore that lady down, but she was actually doing shit. You know what I mean? It was weird, but she was doing shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we'll have to see what happens, but it's just one of those stories where it's like, it's completely plausible and it's completely there's no way anybody could say, oh yeah, 100% it's right or 100% it's wrong. There's no way.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's especially crazy. without where's Henry Louis Gates when you need him? All right, I mean, because this is the only way to prove it is with DNA evidence, right. And I would be very surprised.
And she absolutely could. Maybe she could have been adopted, right? She could have been.
No, she is adopted. That's not in question. She's definitely adopted. She's always said that she has said she's adopted.
But I'm telling you, it actually is. You have watched the special. It is in question. Right. That's the thing. That part, because she says she's adopted, there's no adoption papers for her, and people in her family are like, she's not adopted. The only person who anybody's heard say that she's adopted is Buffy, not her parents, not a sibling.
I will say this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I had to go searching for my birth certificate years ago for like Social Security stuff, it's not on. I mean, if you're born in a certain year, it's not computerized. I mean, I had to get the physical act. So that the point that they couldn't find papers doesn't surprise me. That I don't know.
The point is, they do have papers, but we're all saying, "Oh no, it can't be that because it's this." Right? That's the thing.
They could have changed it. They could have changed it,
or they could have not. Right? That's the thing. Or they could.
Right. Well, that's why I'm saying we'll never know. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, she's 82 years old. She's retired.
It is fierce that it's happened. That this investigation happened now. But listen,
the CBC is not a joke either.
No,
the CBC is real.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have to watch this special. It's really. I'm going to send you the link. It's really good.
I have it. I have it.
It's real. They're not just it's not extra and Access Hollywood. It's real investigative shit.
It's journalism.
And what do we always say too, right? What you do in the dark always comes to the light. You think about the Bill Cosby.
You say it.
You think about the. You think about the Bill Cosby was evidently Bill Cosbying for decades and decades and decades, and when did people finally come really for real when he was an old man? But is it ever too late to expose some shit? I don't know. It's just really crazy.
I will say this, and then we can move on. I think maybe fabricating your background and raping untold women is a little different on the scale.
It is, but a cultural appropriation of taking the spot and becoming an icon and all of these things to something that you may not be is horrible.
Well, yes. All right. Speaking of horrible, oh my God. All right. So I used to watch Real Housewives religiously. I'm not even kidding.
When it first started, listen, I think we all did when they first. It was so much fun. Great. And occasionally,
it was so much fun
because you know what? They used to have fun. It would be like.
No.
Fun, boozy, crazy nights, and they would have fun. And then
not even the boozy. In the beginning, it really with the first one was Orange County, and you can even tell how low budget it was because the quality of the film, and they're all pre-plastic surgery, and it was actually relatively realistic of a world that's not realistic, but it was fun.
Right.
And then I used to love Atlanta. That one was really good.
Yeah.
That's when it started getting crazy, was the Atlanta one. And the New York one in the beginning was great.
Well, not in the beginning, because Atlanta used to be funny. You think about, they would get into arguments, but it wasn't. It was more antics and craziness and Kim's cheap ways and Nene's funny sayings and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it was funny. Laugh. It was funny, and then it just everything started metastasizing.
It turned into the Hunger Games, and it was.
You could see the scripts. I mean, you could literally see the scripts, and it just got crazier and crazier and crazier, and the alcoholism. And do you
remember? Not to cut you off. Do you remember how in the first seasons you would see people the way you actually would be around your house? Then by season 2, all of a sudden
they have a stylist,
and people are you're wearing a gown in the house, and your friend is coming over. You're in a full beaten hair and a gown.
No, I know.
To have tea in your kitchen with your.
I know it's crazy. I know. They made money and they started fixing up their houses. So And Andy Cohen, I thought, was fun and cute in the beginning. As the years have progressed, I increasingly view Andy Cohen as a very nasty, nasty person. And a lot of that is because of his gleeful willingness to kind of see people who are obviously spiraling. No one makes them do it. But then again, if you're booking a bunch of people who may or may not have a drinking problem and you're encouraging it, that's not cool. Also, his stuff with Anderson Cooper, I just think he's so let's get drunk. It's obnoxious. He's a grown man. He's a father. All right. So there's an article that's coming out in Vanity Fair, or is out right now. I read it online. I don't get Vanity Fair anymore, which is basically an expose. And who's the one? Bethany, who is the only one who really has a real career at this point. And she kind of was the only one who had a career. Though if you go to the Lower East Side, you can still see Zarin Fabrics. There's
a bunch of them that actually have careers. So I won't say it.
Had before.
Well, Beverly was faltering before. This show actually helped really give her a career, really, because she was one who came in, no husband, faltering, trying to figure out living in a small apartment, and made the most out of that experience. She really did.
So there's this article that's come out that is an expose of sort of the behind the scenes, the accusations of basically abuse on the set, the accusations of the encouraging the alcoholism, this is stuff, Leah McSweeney, who was the worst. I mean, I couldn't stand her. She was their downtown hire. Well, the girl had been in rehab. She'd been sober for 9 years and gets on the show and she's a drunken loser on the show. All right. But the big pull quote, and for anyone who has watched the show from the beginning, this is the equivalent of the sun comes up in the morning, is that Ramona Singer is a racist. You think? First off, she was a COVID denier. Remember, she was bouncing around the Hamptons. Yep. She's a Trumper. Before there was Trump, she's a Republican. when you would watch her, when they would go on their little resort vacation, she was always talking to the staff.
Right.
That was always of color, barking at them like they worked for her directly. I mean, she was good television, but obviously a racist. I mean, she didn't even have to say anything. You could just look at her and go,
this big expose that they were talking about, it finally drops. They don't say anything we haven't heard. We have heard leaks about Ramona supposedly saying crazy shit about black people, especially when Ebony was on that show.
She was a horrible housewife, though, Ebony. I'm sorry.
I mean, she was a
horrible. I mean, she appears to be a very nice
lady.
Person,
very nice
just
lady.
Horrible.
But I don't know. In her head, I think but I also think she was set up to fail, right? I think that she really was not.
I think so too.
It was never going to work with those women. And they needed to bring her in with somebody so that she really.
You know who's Native American, by the way? You know Luann is Native American.
Is she?
For real.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, from Connecticut.
Oh.
That makes sense. Native American. She is biracial. She is Native American, which she, I'm sure, only brought up to give her an excuse to wear a diamond feather. Yeah, I mean, these women were messy. It got to the point where it's like, this is no longer fun watching middle-aged women fall down steps drunk. This is not entertaining. This is not good television.
It's not even
good television anymore.
You know what I didn't like? And because like you, I really loved all of them when they
in the beginning started. I loved it all. Yeah,
I thought it was a lot of fun. But then noticing that every city now you have to fight. You need physical altercations now. Like Potomac never had for the first.
I've never watched Potomac or Miami.
But Potomac was really good for a lot of years, and they never had any physical stuff. Then they have a physical fight, and I'm sure they tease it all season long.
Oh yeah,
and do all of that thing.
Sure.
And then now every season after that, there's been some sort of physical fight, and I'm like, why do you want? I have never been to a party. I have a lot of female friends. I have never been to a party where suddenly the women started not being able to have a conversation, cursing each other out. I've never seen anybody throw a drink at somebody. I've never seen somebody start pulling hair. I've never seen the tables flipped over. So to watch what is encouraged, and here's the thing about Andy Cohen.
And also criminals. They allow criminals on the show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not alleged criminals. Yeah. Actual criminals. I mean, that's ridiculous. No, actual criminals.
No, that show, baby, they have a better prison record than they do a marriage record on that show. Because everybody goes to prison.
Remember Alex and what's his face, Simon, when it was like a big,
oh
my God, we have to come to Brooklyn to visit them.
And then they come to Brooklyn and the house is half done and the floors are ripped up. It's like, why would you invite anybody into that house? But Andy Cohen, I have a very real sort of conflict with Andy Cohen. I used to really like him in the beginning.
Me too. I liked him too.
And then Andy Cohen, full disclosure, has been really good to two friends of mine and hired them and really is giving them amazing opportunities.
He does. He's done very good stuff on that level. His radio stuff is great.
Amazing opportunities, right? But when I watch him in this housewife arena, I'm like, I hate that I have seen him more than once sit back in situations that I thought were racist and crazy, especially at those reunions, and throw his hands up like he doesn't know what's going on.
Can't do anything to do about this.
And then when he's called out about it, it's like, what do you mean? It's like, I know, I have seen you out and about for years in this city. You know exactly what is happening here. And you, to be the ringmaster of watching certain things happen, I think is very destructive. And it's like, yes, you have a great gig, you're over all these housewives, but you know that you're ruling an empire now where these women are showing you the worst of the worst to stay on television. And I'm not saying you can't control. Listen, people want to watch it. I've stopped watching The Housewives years ago, although I did peek into this new New York to see what it would be. I just think that he could do better. He could do better.
No, I don't think he can do better. I think this is because he will only do better. Bravo will only do better. Remember when Bravo was an arts and entertainment channel?
It was Ovation, and I used to watch.
It was Ovation.
They used to play documentaries and ballet and opera and a lot of dance.
You never do, and I'm not not saying he's a bad human being, but you never do better until you start losing money. And that's when you figure out how to do better. All right. Speaking of doing better, Flava Flav sang the national anthem. First off, the irony, somewhere Chuck D is probably like, oh my God, I guess I have to let him do what he wants to do because he's my friend and he is a necessary part of Public Enemy. But the irony of the group that, that was like, Ellis was a hero the most, fuck him and John Wayne, and Fight the Power and all these incredibly important revolutionary song, getting up there and singing the most warmongering yay for us song ever, the national anthem, it's beyond ironic. But I want to say something. You know what? I have had to sing that song in school. We've all had to sing that song. Yeah, we all had to
sing the song, yeah.
All things considered, well, I'm a trained singer. I took voice lessons, so technically, he didn't do that bad.
Listen,
I mean, for all things considered, it's an impossible song to sing. He tried.
It's actually a very, people don't realize how difficult it is to sing. I've worked with a lot of artists who would always be requested to sing the anthem. It's really hard.
It's an impossible.
It's a really hard song to sing. Flava Flav is a national treasure who must be protected at all costs. Because I don't know.
From himself.
Like he is a national treasure. We must protect him at all.
I think it was, obviously it was tied into the 50th anniversary of hip hop. To me, it's just hilarious that this man who stood side by side for Chuck D and Professor Griff and all this stuff preaching, Black Power is up there singing like the most like white enslavement song of all time. I'm like, really? Because this is the song that's basically like, screw everybody else, we're taking over the world. But I think he did a fine job. And people, this is just like he did a fine job. He tried. You could tell he was trying. He was actually, all things considered, remarkably on pitch as much as he was off pitch. He did all right. He did all right. All right. Switching complete gears here. Matthew Perry from Friends passed. He drowned. Circumstances are unknown. I really wish people would stop, adding. Stop. You're not a medical examiner.
It's horrible.
You don't know.
Immediately trying to rush to get in like all the speculation and the things and the weirdness. It's so disrespectful. Like people still have families. Yes, they may be famous. People have families.
Well, it's also this assumption that, people do stay sober for a majority of their lives or part. So he did drugs for a very long time and is very open about it and wrote about it. And to be honest with you, after reading excerpts from that book and hearing him talk, it's a miracle he was alive as long as he was. Because this was not like I'm doing coke at a party. He was seriously addicted. Who knows what happened? It's just very sad. I'm not going to lie and tell you that I watched Friends all the time. I would watch it. I was not like a Friends person, but I obviously know who he was. And he was universally considered like the stealth star of the show, right? He was like the one that kind of added that little extra
people love Chet.
thing.
And I'm like you. I didn't watch Friends in its first time run. I've seen episodes in syndication. Me too. I know the famous episodes. Like I know what Smelly Cat is and that kind of stuff. Right. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I know what a Rachel is. I know why they're famous. I know why they're famous. Do you remember when
every white woman in New York had that haircut?
Had a Rachel.
Do you remember that?
Well, not me, because I basically had the same haircut for years. But the Rachel, yes.
It used to be shorter, though. You used to cut it shorter, your hair, though.
It's been growing. I'm a work in progress.
Are you going to let it grow? How long will it grow?
Well, I let it grow.
I like it, but will it go down your back if you let it grow?
No, because it gets like out of control then. It gets like poofy. I very much enjoy. I'm lucky so far. The hair is still
full head of hair. It's looking good.
I know, Hungarian hair. I'm going to play with it right now as we're talking. I'm making bangs. Yeah. Anyway, I'm here. I'm going to make bangs.
A bang would actually be cute. Have you thought about?
No, it's so much fucking maintenance. Are you kidding me?
But they look great. But they look.
Yeah. But middle-aged women are not supposed to have bangs.
Who said that?
Middle-aged man, probably.
Exactly.
No, bangs are a lot of work because you have to trim them all the time, and who knows? Maybe.
But a good bang, I think a bang would be cute.
Yeah, but you have to trim all the time. I used to trim my bangs when I was a little punk rock kid with sewing scissors. They look crazy. I don't know. I like being able to go like that.
That's it's good. It's good.
If you notice in the clips,
and your hair is really full. I know y'all are like, what are y'all doing? But your hair is it's really full. It looks good.
I have good hair.
Yeah, you do.
I have the Hungarian hair. I will say this, watching those clips, those TikTok things that I put up, Jesus Christ, I am like a nonstop nervous tick. My hands are like, it's a
all the time.
Fuck,
no.
I'm gonna do the next one sitting on my hands and see if I can communicate.
No, you should see when we're taping, you're like all over the place. You're like,
no, it's ridiculous. No, I know.
You're like voguing in your chair.
No, it's ridiculous. I teach like this too. I'm literally, right now, I sit like a 14-year-old girl. I have my foot up on the chair. It's ridiculous. It's really youthful. I like to say it's youthful.
And I'm always very like a hippie. Right now I'm in a sarong. I threw on a sweatshirt just
because you're smoking weed during the show. You're calm. I'm like, I'm all over the fucking place. No, look, I'm playing with my hair right now. I'm here. I'm putting it in a ponytail. I'm playing. All right. All right, so here's like a rule for those of you who are just new to the record company game. If something is like super successful and the labels make money, then yay. If something is super successful and the artists make money, they will do everything humanly possible to squash it.
Except, yes, so they're mad about the Taylor Swift re-records and they're trying to make it harder and put more time in contracts. But artists aren't falling for that. They're not signing that. And they're also, a lot of artists have gotten really smart. They're not signing directly to these labels. They're doing licensing deals. So
yeah,
they own their masters and they're licensing this work to the label. And listen, the labels need to stop acting like you should just get to own something forever. I think when you've made your money back tenfold and you're going to continue to make money, you know, the business model has to change because these kids are now starting to realize they can release shit independently. They don't need labels the same way anymore.
Well, nobody really needs. I will say this, and then we'll take a break. I will say this. This thought occurred to me the other day. I find it somewhat interesting or whatever that you're always, and that Bad Bunny overexposed. This woman is in the news every single hour. I mean, it's nuts. So how is she not overexposed? She releases a record every 6 months.
And she currently has a movie. Oh, she also currently has the #1 pop song, the Hot 100.
Right. So I mean, every time she
shows up to a football game, we have to hear about it like she played in the game.
So I will say that is as much a fault of the media and the fan base. But absolutely. I mean, he's not overexposed. He's promoting a record. She's every 5 minutes.
Well, I thought he was overexposed. Then he came out with a new album. But you notice we are seeing him less with this new album. He's put the record out. The album's #1. He's doing a single. He's not doing as much forward thinking. And you know what? With that, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Pantheon Podcast listeners, Christian Swain here to tell you more about my experience with Raycon earbuds. Our family now has 3 pairs of Raycon earbuds around the house, and my wife just grabbed a pair of the Headphone Pros to replace some headphones from a company that was double the price. And yes, she loves them. Now, if you haven't pulled the trigger on a pair of Raycons, or even if you have, but you're in the market for another pair because they're just that good, well, now is the time to check them out, because they just launched their upgraded model of the best-selling everyday earbuds. With Raycon's upgraded everyday earbuds, now you also get active noise cancellation, ergonomic design, and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once. New quick charge function, 3 customizable sound styles, plus awareness mode. Available in a variety of vibrant new colors to complement any and all skin tones. I even have a pair of earbuds in a cool green color. I have tried just about every earbud known to humankind, and these Raycons are fantastic. Seriously, if you've been wanting to check out Raycons, there truly is no better time. You're going to ask yourself why you didn't check them out sooner, and Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go to buyraycon.com/Pantheon today to get 20% off your Raycon order, plus free shipping. That's right, you'll get 20% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/Pantheon. buyraycon.com/Pantheon.
And we're back.
We're back. Okay, so Metallica has always been a little litigious, but for the good, for rightful reasons. They've always been very protective of their intellectual property and their creative property, which they have a right to do. And they have always been a group that does not mind looking like the heavy in coming out, like here, this mega, hugely popular. If you love Metallica, there's a great show about Metallica on Pantheon. Please listen to it. But, they are not afraid to ruffle feathers. They were the first group to go after Napster back in the day.
That was a huge fight.
Huge fight. And they kind of won it. They kind of won it. So they are now... And
well, they won that fight but lost the war, right? Because downloading and illegal downloads.
But they drew attention to it.
Absolutely.
And I have to give them credit to that.
Absolutely.
So their new thing, they're nothing. They are suing.
Well, their merch company. This isn't the band.
Their merch company. Thank you. Yeah. Why don't you finish?
The merch company is trying to sue, start doing an injunction, which they've done in a couple of different states to stop the sale of bootleg T-shirts vendors from outside of the arena. So what they want to do is
like the guys in the parking lot and stuff like that.
What they want, because they feel like it's inferior quality and all of the things. But to me, this is such an interesting thing. And what that would do is create a perimeter all the way around the arena where those people could not sell or else you'd be arrested. And what they want the FBI to do is to raid wherever they are, seize the merchandise and burn it. I always find it interesting because...
Well, not burn it. They should donate it to migrants.
Yeah, but they don't ever... Well, they destroy... So the thing that's interesting about that is, as someone who's worked on several tours, I have never heard of the illegal merch guys cutting into merch sales for a show. Especially since most of the time when those people are out, it's after the show. You're leaving. You've bought all your merch. You're leaving the show. And then you might buy a cheap t-shirt. You don't really see them as much when you're coming in the show. Because
you want to be able to wear the shirt in the show. You want to be able to buy it and put it on.
Let me just tell you something. At the Beyonce show, I had to pick up some merch for a friend. He gave me some money and said, I need you to get these items. Like the lines was so huge everywhere, and everything that I wanted that it was on his list was sold out. And just the same thing when I, it's such a weird fight because it's like, I get it, but at the same time, when they're out there selling those shirts, everybody's coming out with all... First of all, people who are Metallica fans want the official Metallica merch.
Yeah, they do.
People who are Metallica want the Metallica T-shirts. They might buy a fake one on the street. They know it's inferior quality. I don't know. It's a weird fight to have to me. It's just a weird fight to have.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can see, but you do have a right to your intellectual property. You do have a right to that. But I think at the end of the day, the people who are buying it's like the guys selling like T-shirts in the Fulton Mall. I mean, I think everybody knows they're buying crap and they're buying it. And if you're really a hardcore fan of something, yes, you have already spent $175 for the ticket. An extra $50 for the shirt is not going to break you.
And let me just tell you something. You'd be happy if you only paid $175 for a fucking ticket in 2023.
Well, yeah. But it's, like I said, I mean, I understand the fight because every artist has a right to their intellectual property.
Absolutely.
Every artist, but I feel like, I don't know, judging by the amount of, what did they say? It's like Christian girl autumn, Christian girl fall. There's like hot girl summer, and now there's Christian girl fall. Judging by the young, leggy white women I see walking around with Taylor Swift merch, I think that
her merch was selling so much they had to put limits on it. Because did you see when the merch trucks were showing up a day before the shows, and people were coming and buying out shit and then reselling it on their website? So they would come and buy like 20, and then reselling it at a markup to her fans. Craziness, because that's America. We figure out a way.
That's not. It's capital. I mean,
it's capitalism. Right. America.
These are really kind of two people I don't care much about, so I will let you take the Elton John story.
Y'all, let me just tell you something. Everybody knows my number one girl is Madonna. I love Madonna.
We know. Everyone knows. But we know that you will defend her to the ends of earth.
Every clip I keep seeing of this tour, I'm like, this show seems to have a pacing issue, but I'm not going to go there. And all the reviews are like, it's so excellent, her health. I'm like, right, this is she almost died. We got to be nice. How do you know somebody really almost died? Elton fucking John, her frenemy of decades, is now like, Madonna's an amazing woman. Her advocacy and what she's doing for AIDS. I'm like, what's happening? Did she?
Right,
I'm like, did she faint on stage? I'm like, did she faint?
People mellow. She appears, at least this tour, and again, I don't pay her as much attention as you do, because I'll pay attention when she comes to the United States. She appears to be, for her, remarkably
more vulnerable,
kind and grateful.
Yeah, a little bit more vulnerable.
I mean, all the woman. This is not like, ooh, I slipped and fell.
Right.
She came close to dying.
Yeah, she really did.
Really, truly, she really did.
They thought she was going to die. They did.
Right. So, Elton John had two choices. One, say nothing, but he can't say nothing because she's performing on her home turf, and I'm sure the press is looking at him. I mean, like, what do you think? Or come off like the meanest person in the history of mean people.
Well, he's been taking that latter route for the last few years when it comes to
Yeah, but not against somebody who almost died.
Right.
Right. It's one thing to say, I don't like her. It's another thing to say, oh, her songs suck. It's another thing to say, oh my God, she's a blah, 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 blah. But when you can't be a bitchy queen when you're talking about a woman who almost died, because that's just like, come on, that's just awful behavior.
Yeah.
That's just awful, awful behavior. And for all of his whatever, he has done a lot of good things too, Elton John. I mean, he has his AIDS Foundation, the Ryan White Foundation. Is he the Ryan White Foundation?
No, Ryan White is Ryan White's parents. He's the Elton John AIDS Foundation.
Right. Oh, right. But I'm saying he has done a lot of good things too. So, I mean, I think part of it is just that's who he is. He's a little bitch. Okay. Makes great music, puts on a great show. So yes, it's all, I will almost bet you, and again, not caring that much, but I will almost bet you that was she just doing a tour and she had not almost died, he'd be ripping her a new one.
Absolutely. I know he'd be like, she doesn't have a band on stage. We're the singers. Right. He would be reading her for filth up and down.
Up and down the block. So I think the fact that he has even, we're getting older and people almost die.
And what I'm glad is that people are being nice and realizing, fucking Madonna's an icon. She's made us mad with some shit, but fuck that. Let's treat her like appropriately. She's a legend.
That'll last for like a minute. You know that. And it's gone. It'll go back to her age and who she's dating very, very quickly. It will. Because there's the subtext of all this is that she's old. It really is.
Right.
So that's the subtext. I can guarantee you if Taylor Swift got really sick and then performed, she'd be seen as a champion. And look at her. And the subtext with Madonna is always her age. I mean, it just is. It's for any woman over the age of 40. It's over her age. So Taylor, take advantage of the next 6 years of your life because you're fat. All right. I have no idea who Keith Lee is. Go.
Keith Lee is a MMA fighter turned food reviewer on TikTok.
Oh, you are freaking kidding me! All right, I'm gonna go out. All right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go outside and go shopping.
No, but here's what we like about him. He's a Christian guy, man of faith, and what he's started doing in Las Vegas, where he lives, is just going to small restaurants, ordering food. Why do we like him?
Because he's a Christian guy, man of faith.
And he's a really nice, well, I'm a Catholic boy. When it comes down to it, Amy.
So is the new Speaker of the House.
When it comes down to it, I'm a Catholic boy. I'm a Catholic boy. That's just who I am. But
I know, but I'm just saying.
But he went to Atlanta and he's exposed MMA. Just kind of inadvertently being a nice guy is just trying to go out in Atlanta and just do what he's done in all these different places is just exposing the madness of Atlanta. Now, I don't know if you know this about me. Atlanta is not one of my favorite cities. And it's like a Black gay mecca. And for years when I would have to go to Atlanta for work, I don't like it so much. I would literally go in and be out overnight. I never stayed long periods. I don't know. Their restaurants down there have all of these odd rules and just craziness. And he's like, I just think you should Google it and see some of the videos and stuff.
No, I looked. I just MMA fighter. Yeah, great Christian.
Golly, you're so judgmental.
No, excuse me. There is no one more judgmental than the current Christian autocracy in this country. I have nothing against people of faith. I volunteer at a freaking Christian soup pantry. I have nothing against. But that's
because you like the ice cream. The ice cream.
No, they haven't had those in years. I have nothing against people of faith. But when someone says they're a good Christian, a man of faith, I'm like, yes, so is Mike Johnson. Oof. And he wants to ban me and you. So that he's a good person works for me. That he's a good person.
He's a really
MMA
good
fighter. That works for me. I have nothing against faith. Hello, don't scream at me. I have nothing.
He hasn't fought in a while. Like now he's been full-time doing these reviews and it's great.
But does he have any qualifications as a food critic?
He likes
or is it more like a social thing?
It was a social thing.
It really like a societal thing. Yeah.
And then but what started happening was the businesses he went to that was slow and nobody was in there started to turn around and an influx of people would come and really help these businesses.
Good though. So that's good.
So that's what he likes to do to small businesses that are around and it brings people to them. Good. So it's great. But Atlanta, of course, when you get to Atlanta's just Atlanta, child. And
I have no problem. I've only been to Atlanta for work too. And again, in and out because it's work. But it's like the R&B Nashville, basically, or at least was. But I've never had, I almost moved to Atlanta, but I have no, yes.
Why?
Love. And that's all I'll say. I was seeing a guy who's now dead. Mm-hmm. And he lived in Tennessee and I lived in New York, and he wanted to be close to his kids. And I wanted to be obviously in a position where I could still write about music. And Atlanta was
a good midpoint.
You write about Black music. Geez. It's like Alpharetta. Is that where everybody,
especially like in the early in the 90s into the 2000s?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it was the home of Black music. So yeah, that lasted about 5 seconds because then he, we won't go into that. It's very tragic. But anyway, yeah, for a hot second, I was actually calling real estate agents in Atlanta. And then I was like, yeah, I'm from New York. I don't know if I can live in the South. But if you are going to live in the South, Atlanta is like the least southern of the South, right? It's kind of protected from the Marjorie Taylor Greene part of the South.
Not really.
Isn't it a Black mayor and a Black,
Yeah, I guess.
There's no Confederate flags flying around.
Atlanta's a mess.
I have no problem with the man. All right. I'm gonna take you to task, Courtney.
Oh God, Anderson. I did it.
I'm gonna take you to task.
I did it.
Okay. First off,
I did it.
You can't trash a team and then when they win, and then go back to the Knicks are just suck. It's like they either.
But they keep losing. They won one game. They suck.
All right, but they won one game.
And lost two.
All right, but they won one game.
And lost two.
All right, but they won one game.
And lost two.
Well, they've only played 3 games. I'm going to be, as a Christian, Courtney, I am going to cut them a little bit of slack. It's the new season. We know they have problems. They should have a free throw camp. That's what they need to do with this team, because they have always been like, what with the free throws. I'm going to wait. And I'm the one, excuse me, what rock was I sleeping on? I thought Porzingis retired.
No.
I didn't know he went.
We traded him away, remember, to Dallas.
No, but he asked for the trade. He He wanted out of New York.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he went to the Celtics. Has he been on the Celtics this whole time?
He was just traded there in the offseason. This is his first season.
I enjoyed that fight between him and Harkenstein, because I enjoy a bit of white-on-white Slavic violence. I do enjoy that. Porzingis was so good. He was such a great Nick.
The fact that we let him come in here and shit all over the court, and I'm looking at the Knicks like, you were supposed to win this. He was not supposed to come up in here and turn this floor out like this. You guys defended nothing. You're horrible.
All right, until they win, and then you'll be okay.
No, I'm mad. They're gonna have to show me something. And the Giants, I'm just over them. They're fucking suck.
All right, good. Can we not talk about the Giants anymore, please?
Not this season. There won't be anything to talk about. They just want to lose and look pathetic. It's like what the?
I mean, talking about the Giants is like talking about the Mets.
Oh my god! And here's the thing:
I'm
assuming that my neighbor downstairs is a Jets fan. Is at the same time, I can hear him, and and this is a pre-war building. I don't hear my neighbors.
Your building is like sturdy. It's like my building. You could
this building
bomb can go off and you won't know it.
This building was built in 1922.
Mine's like same age as what's that? London Terrace, same era.
1922. I can hear him at the same time as I'm like, you motherfucker. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, you motherfucker. Screaming at
yeah, I mean, I would obviously love to see the Knicks win. I would love it.
I know. I'm just mad because I want them to play with
I'm teasing.
You know what it is? Because you know what it is? They look like they took a step back. Like Jalen Brunson has not looked great so far, and Julius is starting out like what's happening.
Julius Randle cleans up very nicely.
A good old haircut and a shave will do you good.
It's amazing. He actually now doesn't look like a 45-year-old man.
No, he doesn't.
He actually looks like he's 28.
Exactly. It's like, it is true. That's the thing. When I cut locks, it took 10 years off my face.
No, it really does. It really does. And you're like, oh, look at you with your boyish haircut, as opposed to looking like Julius Randle's in his 20s. I think not. I was like, I want to see a birth certificate. That guy.
But back to Hutchinson, I thought he really played. He showed grit and moxie in that game.
You used the word moxie.
Moxie.
Didn't we determine last year that he's biracial?
Yeah,
we Google that?
We Googled that or something.
Didn't we Google that?
And it was something, like it's German and something.
German and black. I think that's and we were like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Because
he's still our white Nick, but we have two. We also have Divanchenko. Is that
we have another white Nick too.
Yeah, we have two white.
And before you start inundating us, we're joking.
Mm-hmm.
But Porzingis, the last Knick game I saw was when it was the Christmas game when Porzingis was still like, I will say, like, two of the most exciting times to be a Knick fan in New York.
The Christmas game?
No. Porzingis and Linsanity. I mean, come on. Linsanity was like amazing.
We have the Christmas game again this year, the first game.
Christmas game is always fun.
That's such a good game, yeah.
It's such a good game. And the MLK. The MLK game, aka the networks go, I know, it's a black person's was killed, and who likes basketball? Black people. Right. We'll give them a basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
NBA. All right, what are you listening to?
I am listening to the fabulous VV Brown's new album.
I've always liked her, and I posted her new song months ago. I always liked her a lot, and she had that great Sharks in the Water song, then disappeared.
Well, this is her second. This is her second album. It's called "Am I British?" and it's about being a black Brit, being black in the UK.
Love it.
And she has a lot of different guests on there with different voices. It's really good work. Really, really good work. And
she's cool.
And I'm listening to Brent Faiyaz's latest, Larger Than Life, that just dropped. Great album.
The kids love him.
I think he's great.
Love him.
I really like it. And I like that he's an indie artist doing his thing. I really like it.
For some reason.
And I was going to say, and for some reason, I've been listening to a lot of Pink. I don't know why, but suddenly I've just...
Because she's really good?
I don't always gravitate to her. And it started with me...
She has great singles.
And she really does. And I started back really with when she was Blackpink. So I'm kind of on...
Oh, yes, when she was... Not Blackpink, the K-pop group.
The only Blackpink that I fucking recognize is Blackpink, who sang Most Girls Want a Man with a Mean Green.
When she was... remember that? When they were like, she's our Tina Marie. And I'm like, kind of not.
No, but she's Blackpink, yeah.
I love Blackpink. Mm-hmm. I love Pink. I think Pink is great. For some reason, yesterday... I was looking at my CD collection going, Amy, you have too many CDs, and my Red Hot section, and I decided to listen to the Red Hot and Rhapsody records, which I haven't listened to in a million years.
Yeah, those Red Hot records are really good.
Are great. Yeah. Are great. There wasn't a bad. So there's, I guess the best known one is Red Hot and Blue.
Well, that was the first one, and then
Cole Porter one.
And the second one was Red Hot and Dance. There's Red Hot and
Hot and Riot, which is the Fela record.
Red Hot and Rio is a great one.
Red Hot and Cool, which is like the one with Impulse Records, and it was always like pairing up unusual people, and all the money went to.
So Amfar and AIDS.
Lifebeat.
Yeah.
And Lifebeat. I think. But anyway,
Red Hot still around. Remember, Bill did the one last year? He did the Red Hot album. Mm-hmm.
No. So this one is the Gershwin, George Gershwin stuff. So Finley Quay, remember him?
Yeah.
This is an old record. I shouldn't make it sound like it's like just came out. This is 1998.
Tricky's half-brother.
Yeah, and the guy from Elton John's band, who was in Elton John's band for years, that's his son or cousin or somebody like that. Baba Maul's on this, but the one, the beautiful standout track, if you need to be reminded of how great she is Sinead O'Connor.
Sacrifice?
They can't take that away from me.
Yeah, because she's on a couple of Red Hots.
She's on a couple. She's on the Cole Porter one. She's on. I can't read because it's
Red Hot and Free was the last one, and that came out in 2021.
Oh, someone to watch over me. To watch over me. You know how I first realized that I needed glasses was label copy. I'd be like, I can't read this. What's wrong? What's wrong with these graphic designers? They're
what the other one was good? The Red Hot and Rio, which was like Bossa Nova.
All of them. I saw that show at BAM.
Oh, did you?
I saw that show at BAM. Yeah, it was great. I saw that one. I saw the Red Hot and Fela one, which was great. And then I saw the Arthur Russell one.
Oh,
they did an all Russell show. That was great too.
Nice.
All right. And I just watched this really weird but kind of interesting documentary about Mr. Chow on HBO.
I want to see that. Is it good?
It's just he is like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the best way. He's fascinating. I mean, I obviously knew who he was, the restaurant, but he's like an utterly fascinating, like, wow, talk about
let me just tell you something.
A trip. He's a trip, this guy.
In the 90s,
and still going.
In the 90s, early 2000s, and even though the restaurants are still there, that was the music industry. Let's go to a fancy dinner.
Well, actually the 80s too, because the Basquiat and Keith Haring, he was smart. He would trade art for food. And so he has like one of those collections. But it's a great, it's really, you really like it because it's very much that of New York. But he's just a fascinating.
I love.
He was married to Grace Coddington from Vogue.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I only know Tina Chow, the late Tina Chow, who was David Byrne's sister-in-law.
Yep. We used to go to Mr. Chow here in New York, Mr. Chow in L.A. You've never been to Mr. Chow? Oh, yeah, I was
never that high on the food chain.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that was the music industry spot. I can't believe you as a writer, no one took you to Mr. Chow?
No, I know.
Because that used to be the go-to with the corporate
I know. I went to Blue Water Grill.
And also Shark Bar. Did you ever go to Shark Bar? That used to be the other.
No. You're making me feel bad. Good. I'm seeing my therapist on Thursday. I'll bring this all up. No. City Crab. Mocha. Is that what it's called? The place? Mecca. Mocha. What was
Motherfucking Mecca on Avenue A.
No, and when it was further down, it used to be in that neighborhood.
No. You're talking about the other one that was down on Lafayette. And it wait, what was the name of that place?
It wasn't Mocha.
No.
Mecca.
What?
It was Mecca.
No, because Mecca.
And then they moved. No. Was on Avenue A. I went there too.
No, the original, because it was something else. I absolutely remember. What the fuck was that?
No, that was a good place.
That was a fierce place.
It was down near the police.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Kenmore Square. It was on Kenmore Square.
What the fuck was
no,
the name of that?
I never was that high in the food chain.
Did you have
crab?
Jezebel's?
Okay, you're really making me feel bad. I'm gonna have to eat more Reese's Pieces.
Tukey's, Willie Smith's sister?
No, but I did interview her. Does that count?
Okay.
No, sorry, but we'll have to figure out that. What was the name of that place, Courtney? On Kenmore. All right, we're gonna post a question on Facebook. Somebody has to. Listen, I didn't go to Indochine until 3 years ago when Ann and I went, and we had both never been. Stop making that face. We had both never been there before, and we were like, "Look at us, pretending it's the 90s."
Wait. First of all, Ann went to NYU. How did she never go to Indochine? She lived around the corner from Indochine. She literally lived right around the corner from Indochine.
I know. I had a sad life.
When I met Ann, her apartment was in the East Village, literally right down the block from Indochine.
Sad.
I love that Indochine is still here.
No, it is.
It's fierce and it's still here.
I had a boyfriend.
Did you ever go to Butter?
Okay, you're making me feel bad. I'm playing with my hair.
Time Cafe.
Yes, I went to the Time freaking Cafe. Yes, I went to the Time freaking Cafe.
Good,
I went to Odeon.
Okay.
I went to the Time freaking Cafe. And I went to Fez too.
Okay, good. All right, good. Oh, I used to love Fez. Fez was great.
I saw great shows there.
Yeah,
all right. I saw Johnny Cash there.
Oh, wow. I saw Fiona Apple.
All right, now I feel a little less bad, but I am going to have to talk to my therapist because I have imposter syndrome. So we're going to talk about that next show. And now I'm twitching out. For those of you who can see me, I now have the microphone cord wrapped around the top of my head. Which means it's time for
me to tell all of you kids. You know what it is.
Because Amy's going into full.
She's literally, guys, I'm watching her. I'm like, she's wrapping the cord around her face. It's in her hair.
Not my neck, though. Not my neck.
Not her neck.
We don't need to do a wellness check.
It's not an asphyxiation. It's that I don't know what's happening.
I'm twitching out. I'm very depressed.
You know what it is, people. Follow us on our Facebook. We're a riot. We talk.
I apologize.
We laugh.
I really apologize.
We cry. We sing. We get insulted. We insult back. It's that I'm gonna let you finish, all one word. We're on IG and I'm gonna let you finish NY. On Threads and I'm gonna let you finish NY. On TikTok and I'm gonna let you finish podcast. And you know the rest. Follow the Pantheon Podcast Network. Really follow the. Isn't it called the Metallica Report? You need to really, if you love, if you love Metallica, there's it's a real fierce moment. And, there's a lot of great stuff on Pantheon.
There's a lot of good stuff.
You need to be over there getting all the way into it because you will find us and other things to keep you entertained all week. And while we need to go now, because it is time for us to get ready for Halloween. And by that, we mean more coffee.
And I'm getting a mammogram. So
and there you go.
Something Courtney who doesn't have to do today.
No,
Yay for me.
No, but I know. Guess what? As men, honey, they put things in every hole I have now. They're like, we're just
but men like that, don't they?
And
on that note,
not from the doctor. Not from the doctor. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun.
Okay.
This is how I know. When I reach a certain age, I'm like, you got to stick it in that hole.
All right. I'm wrapping the cord around my head again. All right,
bye. See you next week.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett. Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's fantasypoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. Fantasypoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.